to this month's, the June Buzzline. We meet every third Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock on Zoom, most months of the year. And before I get started, I do always want to make sure that our new members in the Bristol County Beekeepers are aware of some of the resources that are available to you. The Buzzline is one of them. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for a quick second. And on the website, one of the things that's important to know is that you need to be signed in to find some of the resources. So you want to always make sure that you're signed in. And that gives you access to this section over here that says members, where it tells you you can join the Facebook group. You can shop, you can find volunteer opportunities. If for any reason you want to read the meeting minutes and reports or the treasurer's reports, that's there also with the bylaws. And something about bee suits for kids. So make sure that you're signed in. If you're interested in a buzzline, like a question that maybe was answered on a previous buzzline, you can go to Beekeeping Resources. It brings you to a page where all of our buzzline links are here, and they're bulleted out so you can see what topics our member experts covered within those particular buzz lines. And sometimes people will send me additional resources afterwards, and I'll put that in there too. So this is a really great page to hop into. I know sometimes I go on YouTube and I watch videos, and what I love about ours is that it's local, and then you can get to know who your beekeepers are. And ask some questions. The other thing on members, I think I skipped right over it, is there's a Bee Buddy list. So if for any reason you're stuck while you're out in the yard, or you want to go out on the weekend and there's something that's sticking in that you're feeling uncomfortable with, you can go ahead and click on the Bee Buddies, and by town, they're listed here, or what towns they will service. And if you haven't already, you can join the Bristol County Beekeepers Association. Folks are posting well, we have all of our events there, right? So if you go to events, and I think this is pretty good. So that's today. Honey jar pickup is this weekend. The River Day is coming up. Oh, okay, it's not on here. I'll have to put it on here. So also there are, please forgive me for a moment. I want to make sure that you know about this because I find it so valuable. So the next one is July 11th, right over there at the apiary at Bristol Aggie. Paul Tessier, who is a state bee inspector, does workshops. You should go with bring your veil, and you will usually go through whatever is the seasonal topic. So on July 11th, there's that. Also, I think it's every other month, there's a Northeast honeybee update. That's by Zoom, and that's the bee inspectors from the different states in New England plus New York, and they talk about what's going on in their state, a lot about mites and things like that, and they sometimes open it up for questions. So I've gone to a few of those, and they're really quite helpful. So lots of resources available to you. You can contact me. I'm really easy to find on Facebook or just in the world. I'm very Googleable, if I can lead you to anything there. So I'll stop sharing. Before I go on, do any of the newer members have any questions on any of that?
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and we had only a couple of questions posted, so we'll start with those. And Matt asked, he has 2 packages that he installed in early May. You guys had I don't know if I should read the whole thing. So he has 2 packages installed May 7th. He believes he needs to add a second deep around this weekend. When adding a second deep, should he start with 9 out of the 10 empty frames plus a gallon frame feeder, pull a couple brood frames up into the second deep, He doesn't plan on taking any honey this year, and he wants to have the strongest hives going into winter. All right, so questions on that, or answers, I should say. Who would like to
Well,
handle the
it
question?
sounds like he can follow his own instructions and do very well.
Okay,
I think he's got it. I think he's got it down pat.
fabulous. So he's going to add a second deep. He's going to put 9 frames in. Some of them will be brood frames into the second deep, plus a 1-gallon frame feeder, and not take any honey.
Susan,
That was,
does he say how many frames are they all drawn out? How many frames in the bottom in the first deep are
he doesn't
occupied?
say, yeah, he did say he wasn't able to make today's call, so I don't think he's on the
Okay.
call, but he didn't say about that. What would your advice be, Charlene, in that case?
Usually I think the general rule of thumb is 80%. So if for a 10 frame, of course, eight frames.
Okay. Awesome. Manny asked, and I don't know if he meant, so he says, can I get on the swarm list, was a question. And I actually don't know. I'll have to email him. I don't know if he meant, can he go capture swarms? That's probably what he meant, right?
I would think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that sounds right.
All right. So I can put him on the list if he wants to, or maybe I'll ask Jared about that. His question was, how can I have my hive inspected by the state inspector?
You can go to the MDOW website, go to the apiary section, and there will be a big button somewhere in the middle that will say inspect my hives, or please inspect my hives, or something like that. It'll open up a form. He just has to fill it out, and they'll get back to him. If it's an emergency, they do give a phone number on the same web page, and he can give him a call.
Thank you, Ed. I'll put that on the Facebook page too, because I'm sure he's not the only one that has that question. That was all of the questions that came in ahead of time. Is there anyone on this call that has a question they would like people to try to answer for you?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I would say that we, in the Norfolk group, we added a new service for swarms so that folks can report swarms. And then what that would do is that would trigger an alert to nearby beekeepers who have registered as well. So there's a new feature. I can put that into the, I'll put a link into the chat to see if this comes through here. So it's a nice little feature. It's new for us. We just started doing it, and we've gotten some swarm reports already. And it's geolocated so that if a user or
Nice.
some individual somewhere comes across this and submits it, then any beekeepers who are registered within the radius would get some kind of a notification. And it depends on what you set up as a preference. So
Oh,
email or text or something like that.
so it's an app called Swarmed, it looks like.
It is. It's an app. It's set up by a nonprofit. And if anybody's interested, I have more information. I've worked with the guy to set it up for us for the Norfolk group.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's if the club is interested, there's an example of it, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody who is interested.
Oh, I think that's
Thanks,
fabulous.
Greg. Yeah, we should talk with Jared about that.
Yeah.
He manages our swarm list.
That looks amazing.
It
Yeah,
does. It
in the
does.
past, I had a Google spreadsheet that I would put on a website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so yeah,
with
that's
people's
exactly what we have.
emails and phone numbers, and I never really liked that particular solution because you're putting people's emails and phone numbers on.
Yes.
So this is a different kind of a system, and I think it's a little bit cleaner. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's have a look around. Feel free to, poke at it. It's open to anybody. Anyone can submit it anywhere, but a club could sign up for extra reports based on members in your club. So that's another thing that could happen.
Oh, I'm gonna do this for us. I'll tell Jared we can do this if he wants to. That's amazing.
It really is.
the most important information somebody could give you if they have a swarm that they want taken care of is, where it's located. If it's 30 feet up in a tree, you're not going to get too many people who can respond because they only have a 12-foot ladder.
Right.
If you have a swarm in a house, only people who have carpenter skills should be called, who can put back together what they have to take apart in order to get the swarm out of the house. So there's a lot of questions you need to ask. When somebody says, "Hey, I got a swarm, can you come get it?" That isn't enough information.
Right.
You need to talk to somebody who's knowledgeable, and it also has to be safe. I mean, if you don't want somebody coming into your yard who isn't knowledgeable, or somebody coming into your house who isn't knowledgeable to remove a swarm. So there are professionals. But swarms are great. I mean, I don't think the schools are teaching enough about swarm traps. It's very easy to catch a swarm if you put a swarm trap out. Location is critical, but I mean, I've got apiaries in 10 or 12 different places in town, and I typically catch my own swarms because every apiary has a swarm trap. I don't necessarily have the time to check them every day, and some of them are going to swarm. It's very easy to, get a phone call and say, "Hey, you got bees in the trap." You could leave them for a week and they'll be fine. I typically, if somebody says I have bees in one of my traps, I'll say, "Well, I'll be there in a week or so because I want the queen to lay and I want her to build comb before I take that home, because I don't want to disturb her." You know what I mean? If it's a new swarm, just give them a week. You'll come home with 4 or 5 frames of beautiful cat brood and a very healthy queen. If you get there too early, she may swarm as soon as you bring her home because she's not happy about being moved.
So I'm gonna share my screen because I'm looking at this app. I think you'll be interested because it says what you said, Mac, right? It says they're giving you an example of the report that you would get if you sign up to be a beekeeper. You would get a report with a picture of the swarm, the size of the swarm, where it was, and the height of it, and how long it's been there.
That's all important information.
And then I guess you could claim it in order to get there. You'd have to get there in time.
Yeah, so I've had 2 swarm reports come through this way so far.
Yeah.
And another beekeeper, Leo, he beat me to it. So one was in Sharon, and it didn't look like a great swarm to me. But anyway, I didn't have time to do it. You know what I mean? It was during work hours, and so
Yeah.
other folks can claim it, and depending upon the radius. So so far it's worked out, and I'm sure we'll run into issues or quirks with the system in the future. But as a short-term experiment so far, it's worked out for us.
Oh, so this is right on yours.
Yes, Susan, will you send that to Jared?
Yes, absolutely.
That looks like a really good deal.
Well, it looks to me like what you guys did, Greg, is you just created a tab right on your website. It
Yeah.
has nothing really to do with the Norfolk County Beekeepers, right? It's just a tab.
Well, it is a tab for us, but we also do have a club account with the person who set this up.
Oh, because then you can get
Yeah,
reports.
so we can get extra reports, right? So if you dig into their website, you'll find that there's a link for like partnerships
Okay.
that shows you some of the clubs that have done it and what some of the reports might look like. But yeah, you don't necessarily have to. What they'll do is they can have a little logo for your, for your site and things like that. So that's the kind of thing you could do. So you can see up in the top corner there's a little logo
Yeah.
for the NCBA when you do the report there.
Well, this was worth the price of admission. Thanks for this. This is so good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Muhammad Khalil was the one who found this for us, and so he pointed me at the developer. His name is Mateo. So I work with Mateo to get this particular thing. set up on our site.
Brilliant. Love it. Thank you. All right. Anybody else have questions today?
I have a question.
Hey, Tricia.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm not sure if anyone asked this, but I think my neighbor's colony is honey bound, and it's a horizontal hive also. We added some frames, and I was wondering, because we don't have any drawn comb, should we take some of the honey and spin it out and then just put that back?
Yeah, I think that that would be the soundest advice, is your own advice. You have it spot on. And you can save that honey and if it's too thick, dilute it down a little bit and feed it back to the bees if they're still drawing out comb, instead of syrup, if you'd like. You know, are the frames capped?
Some of them are capped, but most of them have nectar, you know.
Right. So the water content would be too high for you to put them in jars and keep them, certainly. But yeah.
So
Okay.
you don't have any extra frames or foundation?
Yeah, we put foundation in, but we don't have any drawn frames. I don't know if anybody else does, but
They'll draw it out.
yeah.
You
So
should.
that's
How
what we
many-
did.
how many-
Anyway.
how many-
We put 4 empty frames in, so
Oh, no
And-
foundation or anything?
excuse me.
No foundation, just the frames?
No, we I gave her one of the acorn frames that I had, and then we had frames that had some wax, but it wasn't all drawn out.
Be
And then,
fine.
yeah,
Be fine. Yeah. Wait, did you put them, this is a horizontal,
it's a horizontal.
so
And
did you put these new ones after the honey found the honey or before them?
No, before,
Excellent.
yeah, before. So we did like a checkerboard with them.
Yeah,
You want to go ahead, Ed.
they'll draw them out. You checkerboarded them with the brood or with the honey?
With the brood.
That's even better. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Give them a week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this hive is exceptional. I mean, they've almost gotten to the point where they're gonna run out of room. So, it's like Lorraine and I are watching it for someone else. And we don't know if maybe it should be split. That's what we think, because the hive is so gentle. So,
Are they long straw frames?
yes.
Do you have other hives that might have empty frames in them that you could swap?
Yeah, so we did that too.
If you
We
take a honey
we
frame and
took-
put it in a weak hive and take a blank frame from that hive and put it in the other hive, then same thing. I think you did the right thing. Make
Okay,
sure that the honey's on the outside edges and all the brood's in the center. That's the
Okay.
critical part.
all right, thanks.
Just out of curiosity, is the entrance on this horizontal at the end or in the side?
There's 3 entrances in the front, and we opened all of them at this point because we're just so worried about them swarming with them having so many bees. So there were 2 entrances open in the front, and now we opened the 3rd.
Okay. Yeah, just go back in a week and look and take a peek. You probably find it did exactly what you wanted it to do.
Okay, we were gonna check on Friday. Was our plan, so
Sure,
thank you.
you're welcome.
If you ever want to come by, you're welcome.
It'd be important to leave frames, if there's brood in there, make sure you leave the frames with pollen.
Yeah.
They need that pollen for the brood. but full honey frames can come out very easily.
Okay, thanks.
Where are you located?
Mattapoisett.
Okay.
How many frames do you have in the horizontal hive?
Um,
10,
I think
15?
I think it fits like 33, mine
Oh.
anyway. But you know what? Lorraine had counted them. We were like, so it was like so much. It was really kind of like, holy cow. But and that was the second one.
And you don't
But-
see any queen cells,
There was one queen cell.
open or capped?
It was open, but it was charged. And so that was the other thing. I forgot about that. So I took that and I put that on the other end of the whole hive because we didn't know what we should do. I was going to make a split and just make a nuke out of
When
it.
was
but-
that?
Hmm?
When was that?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you put that at the far end of the hive,
Hmm.
is that away from the brood chamber? So after the honey supers?
Yes.
So they're most likely going to want to cap that off because it has a distance from the brood chamber. So that decreases the queen pheromone. That means they are
Okay.
more likely to think that they are queenless way out
Okay.
at the end there. So it's more likely that they're going to want to. So I'm not familiar with the long hive management. I'm more familiar with the Langstroth. So it's very, I'm imagining it just sideways. You know what I mean? Just vertically. So
Yeah.
if it's far away, I'm imagining they're
Well,
going
we
to
shook
cap
and
that
we
off.
shook them off too. That was the other thing. We shook them off of that one.
So you
And
left the cell.
I left the cell because I almost wanted to keep it because the queen that this hive is just so gentle and they're so amazing. So
I would split that frame then, put it in
Yeah.
a queen mating nuke, and let them finish it off.
yeah.
If that's your goal is to have more colonies, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
If you leave that frame, you're going to have a swarm.
okay. I
It's,
have
the queen's going to leave before that thing hatches. So you got to remove that cell, and I would just use it as a split.
okay. I have 2 colonies and one of my queens is one of my colonies is a little bit spicier than the other. And so I was thinking if anything happened to my spicy queen, I could keep this nice gentle. But
There you go. That's what they're for.
mhm.
Yeah, Greg's right about the distance. They're gonna think they're queenless.
Okay.
Does the hive have a follower board?
You know what? I think we took the follower board out because we ran out of room. There's absolutely no room in the hive now.
So you said 30 frames. So that's essentially 3 deeps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time to
Yeah,
make some
It's
honey.
huge.
I would if you had a little room, I would suggest putting a follower board between the back opening and the 2 front ones,
Okay.
and
To
then
make-
make a
make
nuke right in
2.
it.
Okay.
If you don't have another box or something to put them in, just make the nuke right in it.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horizontal hive is it's pretty much the same as a regular Langstroth. It's just sideways. But you also you kind of somewhat treat it like a top bar hive. That's the same way. It's horizontal. It's just different frames.
Yeah.
So I've never figured out why they have 3 entrances, unless they want to use them just as nukes or resource hives, where they permanently keep them in 3 positions. When I build mine, I put the entrances at either end, and I take 2 follower boards, stick them 1/3 of the way in, and I use the center as a common honey super.
I have 2 and one of them has the 3 entrances on the front. And I guess that's Dr. Leo's plan. And then the other one I have is like yours with an entrance. I had my brother-in-law put an entrance on both end
Mhm,
and used Frederick Dunn's plan.
okay. Yeah, mine are actually right at the end, right in the what would be the side if you're calling the long end, the front or the back.
Yeah, me too. I like that one the best.
So say what I did was I just put 2 follower boards. I stick it in there, so I got an 8-frame hive, a 10-frame honey super, and an 8-frame hive, all in the same box. So, but yeah, what you did, yeah, move that. What Max said to do with the Mac and Greg said to take out that cell, or else they will swarm.
Okay.
I don't know where you can put it. You know your equipment better than we do.
Yeah, I have some, I have 2 of the nuke boxes from picking up my nukes, and I do have a nuke box, like the box,
Stick her in
Okay.
there.
the wooden
yeah.
one.
Yeah, stick her in there and create a nuke as a resource hive.
Okay.
Good. That was a good one. Any other questions today?
I do. When should I start checking for mites?
I started in the beginning of June. So,
Okay, even though it's all brand new,
oh, you're talking about new packages?
it's a brand new everything. I mean, except for my nuke.
Is it a pack? It was a nuke or a package?
It was a nuke.
Okay, I would still start in June if it were new.
If
Yeah.
it was a nuke, it should have been treated before you got it. So I would wait till first week in August and then treat it with Formic Pro.
So just treat it without checking.
Well, I would check it.
Prophylactically. My husband's very into the prophylactic, and he keeps saying, just do it prophylactically. And I'm like, you haven't even sit in a class. Okay.
Both the packages and the nukes were treated before they left Georgia and Louisiana.
Okay.
It's an actual law in Georgia. They can't leave the state unless they've been treated within X days.
Okay.
You've done your spring treatment. Now it's the next critical period is that first week in August. You're going to start getting them ready for winter. You want to hit them hard in August, and then when you pull your supers in the fall, you want to hit them in the fall. You want to use Formic Pro so you can keep your honey supers on. Once you take your fall supers off, then you can use Apigard or one of the other chemicals that, but you can't leave honey supers on when you use those.
How many frames are drawn? How many frames have brood on them?
You know what? I added a new box, a new frame. I would say, I don't know. I would say it was more than 80%, and that's why I added it on. I did everything wrong. Okay. I just added it on. I put the new frames in. I didn't rotate any of the frames. I did have a bee buddy, and he said, you can stop feeding now, but you said earlier, I really shouldn't stop feeding now. So I'm going to go mix up some sugar and bring them some sugar water right now when we're done.
Yeah, your second stage is all foundation, so you still want to feed them.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there was enough bees in there to actually do a test. That's all. So if you got
a lot of bees in there,
then yeah, I'd say go ahead, do.
I also have the reducer in
test.
there, but it's kind of the bigger part of the reducer, so it's the wider one. Should I have a reducer in there at all?
Yes.
Okay, because they look like sometimes they're trying to get climbing on top of each other to get inside. So
I would wait till your second stage is done, and then reevaluate on the. So you got about the 4-inch entrance reducer.
Yeah, I guess it's about 4 inches. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine for now. That's fine for
okay.
now.
You got to remember that bees love to be crowded. They love to be warm. They love to be dark. So you're doing the right thing.
I'm trying. Okay. Okay, sounds good.
you're also preventing robbing. When you're feeding this time of year, I mean, there's so much nectar this year, it isn't a problem. In other years, you can create a problem by feeding in this late in the season. So you have to be cognizant of, you know, what the needs of your actual hive are and what's happening around you.
Okay. Well, I'm learning from experience.
Yeah, you'll get there. Don't worry about it.
Get there. Might take a couple years, but I'm going to get there.
You'll get there.
Okay.
Susan, are you there?
I am. Let's see.
All right.
Are there other questions?
I don't have one, but I got to tell you, I got to run. I've
you
got
gotta-
family. I've got family here, so I'm going to run. But I wanted to leave Ed a message. I'm not going to be there Saturday for the jar distribution, Ed, but I have somebody else picking up my order. But I'm sorry, I'm not there to help you.
No problem.
All right.
No problem at all.
Good luck. Thank you,
Yeah, you
everybody.
too.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
coming
night.
in, Mac.
Thank you.
Matt.
When I was at the bee field day the other day, I talked with I think his name is David Wade. Did anybody go to his presentation about helping bees draw out wax? I have the
Yes.
YouTube, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
What did you think, Ed? What was your takeaway?
My first takeaway was I wish I'd thought of that, but I did not. But it sounds great. He had the comparison of price to resources and stuff, and well thought out and well done.
Can you explain what it? I have it queued up on my YouTube to watch. Can you give us a quick summary of
Sure.
what it is?
Bees, in order to draw a comb, they have to produce wax, and it takes an awful lot of resources to produce wax compared to producing honey. So, to help them out, if you put wax into the hive, they will use it to draw out comb. So what he did was he took a piece of he says he's never done it with plastic foundation in his hive because he only uses wax, but I can pretty much guarantee you that it would work with either wax foundation or plastic foundation, as long as the plastic foundation has wax on it to begin with. Like you should buy it that way. What he does is he takes a piece of wax foundation and he uses the wires on it as a guide. So he cuts it right at one of the wires, and he folds it in half, and then he folds it in half a second time. He doesn't squish it or anything, he just folds it loosely. And then he sticks it onto the frame, all the way around the frame on both sides, up against the foundation. Take that frame and stick it in the middle somewhere. Bees are going to hate having foundation in the middle of their house, and they're going to immediately try to make comb out of it, put comb on it. So they're going to steal the wax that you gave them to make comb.
So you're saying that he just pick a extra piece of foundation?
Yeah, you just cut up a piece of foundation into, I think there's 8 pieces he can make out of it, and sticks there. He puts 3 across the bottom, 3 across the top, which he actually has to use push pins. Kind of like, he says, kind of like the ones if you buy a fancy shirt, they got the pins in the collar or the pins in the sleeves or whatever. Those type of pins pin them up because of gravity. The bottom ones stay there. And then for mediums, he'll put 1 piece up either side. For the deep, he has to put 1.5 pieces up either side.
But
And it took 3 days to draw it out, and within 7 days, they were filling it.
But does he still use regular foundation, or this is on top of the foundation?
On top.
It's on top of the regular foundation. He puts foundation into his frame, and then he puts this extra wax around it. He says he's attempting to see how it works during a honey flow right now, so he can't really state anything about it. But last year his honey flow ended the second week of July. So he lives in Worcester County, and he did it, and he built the comb out all the way to early November. The time where
what?
bees don't build comb.
So he was able to have them to join combs through November?
Yep.
Yes, all the way to early November.
So in the YouTube video, if you take a look at
I
around
gotta
the
look at it. That's interesting.
Yeah,
around minute 11.
I found the video. I haven't seen it yet, but it's like 45 minutes long. But his presentation was great. He had a bunch of giant pictures and stuff that he showed with dates on them. And I say it took 4 days for them to build out a medium.
It
I'm
does
gonna
look-
try it.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. I haven't heard of it either. So
But he said to wait till the nectar flow stops, which where I am and where he was is mid-July.
I ended up buying a silicone frame from Amazon, and I'm gonna pour my own wax. And I'm going to apply it the same way to my super frames because I can't get my bees to draw out those frames or anything. I've coated them, I put sugar water, and I'm gonna try David Wade's method because it looks like it's gonna work. He said if you use the plastic frames, you might have to drill to get those glass-headed pins through, and he uses an inch and 3/8, he said, is what he used. And I had wax, and I bought a silicone mat, and I'm hoping to try it Friday.
I always use the plastic frames, but I use the triple waxed, and I found that's the best. I don't have to do anything, and the only thing to do is just drop in there, and my bees were able to making comb until mid of September, sometimes late September, depends on the weather. But I didn't really push for the adding wax. I do treat them. I do add syrup, 1-to-1 syrup, and the triple wax. Manlake used to carry it, or Better Bee used to carry it, but now the only place I can find is Acorn. So Acorn has a triple wax they call extra heavy waxed option.
Another thing he did was he took wax cappings, dried them out, and then squished them in the palm of his hands and put that around it. He said they did draw it out, but and the pictures showed they were pretty ugly. He said nothing was hexagon, nothing was even. He said it looked just like somebody had just tried to take the cappings and stick it to the foundation itself, and the pictures pretty much showed that.
People
He said,
everywhere.
but if you just do the folds, it was picture perfect. So yeah, watch his find his. I don't have it on this computer, so I can't put it in the chat. But if someone has it pulled up, or it's David Wade.
David Wade, yeah.
Yeah, we have the video on here.
I don't know if it's David Wade Beekeeper or Dave Wade Beekeeper.
David Wade.
David Wade, yeah.
Yeah, it's hosted by the University of North Carolina.
He's being interviewed by someone because I think this was a study. I don't know if you get paid to do it.
Not sure, but he's in this month's issue of American Bee Journal.
Okay.
Okay.
And he was also mentioned in January's American Bee Journal, but I'm not really sure how in depth that one was. I think it might have just been a mention of an upcoming thing. But yeah, it's very interesting. And I say right now he's testing what happens during the honey flow, but he hasn't come to a conclusion on it yet.
Yeah, I'm looking at the thing. Well, very interesting. I'm glad I asked.
So you're saying that he is in North Carolina, so he was able to have them to make comb until November.
No, he's in Worcester County. He's in Sturbridge, actually.
Oh, so in Worcester County, he was able to have
Right,
them
but he was working with the head apiary researcher at the University of North Carolina.
yeah, that's David Tarpey down in North Carolina.
So the experiment was down here or in North Carolina?
It was
Here.
Massachusetts.
Here, okay,
Massachusetts, yeah.
okay.
He told me he lived in Sturbridge. Now, whether or not his hives are actually in Sturbridge or the next town over, I can't answer that one, but
That's
I
it was
plan
interesting.
on
down here
doing
in
it Friday.
Massachusetts.
I'll let you know next month how we make out.
Okay,
Sure.
I'll look
cool.
into it.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you,
planning on
Catherine.
doing it too. I can use some new comb.
Yeah, looks interesting. I'm looking at it now. Cool. Was there anybody else have any favorite takeaways from the field day presentations?
The smoker contest was neat.
Oh, I sorry to miss
I was planning on entering it, but since I did a smoker demonstration, I kind of burned up all my fuel.
Oh man, who won?
The band from Wetlands Apiaries.
Oh,
Band's
Bob.
name. Yeah,
Were you able to know what everybody was putting in their smokers? Was there a big secret?
it's a big secret. I know the secret.
You know his secret? I know you told me
Yeah.
yours. Do you want to share with the rest of us what your secret is in the smoker? And then you can tell us what it is.
The final thing you put on top is a big mass of wet green grass.
Oh.
What it does is while your smoke is sitting there cooking away and burning up all its fuel, it's drying the grass out. So by the time you get back there half an hour later and you pump it a couple of times, the grass light's on fire.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know, one of those guys, he had flames. He had the commercial smoker, the tall one. He had flames coming out of the top of that thing 2 feet in the air before he closed the top on it.
No kidding.
He put massive amounts of fuel in that thing. He even had fireproof gloves.
Jesus.
Just keeps sticking more fuel in it. I thought he'd do good. He did good. He just didn't win.
Well, I thought Charlene and Leslie and Kitty and everybody on the committee did such an amazing job pulling that together. Even with the rain, I think it was really a wonderful event and organized, and lots of learning, right? So next time, 2 years from now, it can be even better. But gosh, I thought it was so organized, and I was just really proud to be part of the Bristol County Beekeepers.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very nice.
Yeah. Any other questions? We're good. Well, we're just at a few minutes before 8. Is there anything else anybody would like to share, celebrate?
I had a hive that I was going to split, so I went out and set up a new hive right next to it, and I forgot something, so I had to go all the way back to the storage shed to grab it. And on my way back, I watched this swarm come down out of the sky, looking like a tornado, and then it just totally enveloped the hive I just put there.
Oh,
Wow.
And about 15 minutes later, it walked right in.
Wow.
It was just I've heard
That's
of that happening.
amazing.
I've only heard of that happening twice. I'm sure it happens a lot more often. I only ever heard of it twice, and one of them was 20 years ago. So
So this was coming out of nowhere.
I thought that was pretty neat. I only ever heard of that.
Did you tape
But
it?
I had from that distance you wouldn't have seen anything. I stopped so I wouldn't startle it or scare it off or anything. So I just stopped probably 60 feet from it, so the camera wouldn't have done anything.
it must have felt like magic. Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was just a tornado looking. It actually looked like a 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide tornado coming down at it with a point at the bottom and just enveloped the entire hive.
Now,
How
so
much?
the empty hive hadn't been there for a while. It was you just put it there, so they didn't even like a scout didn't even come and check it out first.
That hive couldn't have been there from the time I put the bottom board down to the time I stopped and watched it go in. Couldn't have been more than 10 minutes.
Wow.
How much longer
That's
do we have
amazing.
to catch hives, swarms?
I've seen swarms in November, so I don't know.
Okay, cool.
But you know, they get the longer into the year you go, the less
Yeah.
chance of them getting there.
Yeah.
Although I did learn one thing you might want to keep in mind. When I was watching the MDAR demonstration, and the MDAR inspector, I never caught her name. She was telling people. Someone asked her about swarm traps, and she said in Massachusetts you can't use comb. You can only use
You can only use what?
a lure, a swarm lure, some sort, you know,
Oh,
some type of smell, odor. But you can't use comb.
oh, I should.
It's again, it's considered an open unoccupied hive, which is
That's
illegal in
interesting.
Massachusetts.
Didn't realize that because my swarm trap has real comb in it.
Mine doesn't.
I didn't either, and my first thought was, so great, now what am I gonna do?
You don't tell anybody.
Right, right. I will edit this
It's
part of
our
the video
secret.
out.
Yeah, edit all of our guilty consciences. I wonder
So
if you
I'm
could
like,
probably use
okay.
frames though, right? You could probably just use frames, but no
You
comb.
can use frames, and you can use, you know, whatever all the lures are. I can't remember all the names of the foolish things, but yeah, or
Like lemongrass.
lemongrass or something. Yeah, you can use anything as long as it's not comb.
Good to know.
Which is the greatest thing for a swarm trap is the old comb.
Mhm. Interesting. Good to know.
So everyone kind of went, oh.
Everyone went, oops. So I checked my hives yesterday, and my overwintered hive looks really good. I have 2 deeps on. I put the super on. I think that I would like to do a split. I know I talked about this already a month ago. I can never find my queen. So do you think I should like put another queen excluder in there and wait like 2 weeks to see which box she's laying in, and then split it and then buy a queen?
That's
Yeah,
that's
you can
one
do
way to
that.
do it. Another way that we've used is, well, the Michael Palmer shake box method. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Yeah, they were talking about that at the last meeting, right?
Okay.
Tell me again, though.
So you have a box. It could be a medium or a deep. A deep's probably easier, with an attached queen excluder on the bottom. You basically screw the queen excluder to the bottom of it, and you run some duct tape around the inside edge of the top. You know, so you have the deep here. So duct tape around the inside edge of the top, and the bees don't like to go over the duct tape. So as you're shake it, and you want to find the queen essentially, right? So you shake all your frames into this, and you want to make sure that it's over another, you know, over frames where another box where the bees can go to. So all the worker bees are going to go into the you know, through the queen excluder and into the colony, and the queen will be stuck up top, as will all the drones. But you know, the queen will be easier to find in that particular scenario. So you can just start dumping frames, you know, take a shake of frames into the thing, and if you don't know where the queen is, that's another way to try to find her fairly fast.
I've used that before, but I think it's pretty messy.
Messy is a good word, yes.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
very, very messy. I learned from Palmer, so I visited him a few times, and that's the way he used before grafting, because he's grafting colony is usually very, very strong, and he doesn't use queen scooter, so it's very difficult for him to dig through all that layers of box to find the queen. But for individual beekeeper like you guys, the easiest way is actually putting a queen scooter, like you said, in between 2 box, and a week later you go back to see which one has eggs or which one doesn't have eggs, and also pay attention to the frame that has hatching brood. Queen like to jump onto the hatching brood frame to lay eggs. 9 out of 10 times I found the queen on the hatching brood frame than anything else. But that only works with the, you know, the peak season.
And would that be now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Not until August.
You still have queens laying?
next
the way-
round.
that's-
This
that's the
round
way-
is all out. This one is all out. Next round will be in about 10 days.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the same way I do it. Just wait 3 days to a week. Go back in, look for eggs.
Mm-hmm. That's easier.
All right, I'll do that tomorrow. Fabulous. All right,
I was
bee
just
friend- oh,
wondering,
go ahead, Tricia.
I was just wondering, how have you tried the queen excluder frame that Better Bee has? You know, the complete frame?
Yeah.
Would
That's
that
more
work?
it's for your horizontal hive.
Yeah.
It works good. It works great. I use that when I'm grafting. I confine the queen in one corner of the colony, so it's easier to have a frame of egg and young larva at the same age. But for you, will be used as a queen scooter for honey production. It works.
Yeah, I bought one, but I didn't know if it would help her out. I didn't know to try and find the queen.
No, it will work. It will work.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, well, another great edition of the Buzz Line. You guys are amazing. Thank you, bee friends. We'll be back here on third week in July. We'll have all new stories because it'll be a whole new time of year. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
coming, and we'll see you at the
Thank you,
next.
Susan.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
You guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.